Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be giving my MLB Awards for the 2022 season. Disclaimer, this isn't necessarily who I think is going to win the award. I mean, in some cases. More, who do I think deserves the award here in the MLB? So if you haven't already, remember to leave a like as well as subscribe. Obviously, new setup. It's going to be getting better. We're going to be live streaming every game in the playoffs, or at least one game every single day. If you don't want to miss out on that, leave a like, subscribe. Let's get right into it. So I have like the classic awards, and then I decided to add in a few of my own, if you will. They're not official awards, but things that I would give out. We're starting off with the Manager of the Year. It is a real one, yeah, if you didn't know. American League, it's between two people, and I'm going to say Brandon Hyde, I think, deserves this one. Orioles had no expectations coming into this year, if you're being completely real. They went out, they won more than 82 games, somewhere. It was like 82, 83, I don't know where it was. But Brandon Hyde definitely deserves a lot of credit. Didn't have a ton of talent. I mean, Rushman is really good. They're bringing up guys, Gunnar Henderson, Grayson Rodriguez, yeah, they look really good. They look like they're going to be solid for years to come. That future that's been talked about for a long time, it's coming into fruition right now. My dark horse for this would probably be Terry Francona, because he did bring a lackluster roster in the Guardians into this postseason. We'll see where they go from here. But yeah, Brandon Hyde for the American League. And for the National League, I think this one has to go to Rob Thompson. Ends the 11-year playoff drought for the Philadelphia Phillies, but he took over after Joe Girardi. They were 22-29. Comes out with this team, wins 65 games with them in the remaining stretch. 65 out of 110 or whatever it was. That's pretty solid. Got him into the postseason. Brian Snitker would be my dark horse for this, because Atlanta started off very, very poorly, and then they picked it up after a little bit. So he did a pretty solid job there, helping those young guys get up and be impactful. Speaking of young guys, the Rookies of the Year is the next one. For the American League, it's one guy. It's Julio Rodriguez here. I mean, just looking at some of his stats, he racked up 6 WAR this year, 28 home runs, a 284 batting average, OPS plus at 147. Julio looks really, really solid this year. Helped the Mariners get into that postseason. The dark horse for this one would be Adley Rushman. He looked really solid behind the plate this year. The switch hitter showed very good spurts of what is going to be to come. I really like Rushman as well. National League, I think it's Michael Harris II, just because of the injury to who would be the dark horse here. I'll get to that in a second. But Harris, I mean, he was phenomenal. 5.3 WAR. He only played like 2/3 of the season. 19 homers, 297 batting average, 64 RBIs, 135 OPS plus from this guy. Michael Harris really, really helping this Braves team turn it around when they did. Spencer Strider is going to be the dark horse for this one. He's a dark horse because he got injured, and he's probably not really in the discussion anymore. Now we're going to be getting into a couple of my awards I made up, if you will. Starting off with the Comeback Players of the Year. It is a thing in the NFL. I know it might be a thing in the MLB, not completely sure. But my 2 comeback players of the year this year are going to be, for the AL, it's going to be Luis Severino. He looked really solid this year. He had an ERA at 3.05, I believe. He's only started a total of about 7 games the last 2 years combined. Came back. He's helped this Yankees team go to the heights that they are at right now. The NL, I know he played last year, but I think I'm going to give it to Albert, because he was DFA'd last year. Let's remember this. He was DFA'd because he was so bad. He came out this year, he hit 22 bombs, helping him to get to his 700 threshold. Albert, I think he's going to have my pick here. Breakout Players of the Year. Now, there is one that's kind of My first one, very confident with Andres Gimenez. He's helped this Guardians team get to where they are right now. He racked up 7.2 WAR. That's incredible. 297 batting average, 17 bombs, 69 RBIs. Nice. 141 OPS plus. Defensive mastermind in the infield. Andres Gimenez, really liking this guy. I might have to get a jersey if I'm being completely honest. For the NL, there are a little bit less options here. I went with Chris Bassett, and I know he's been good when he was with the A's, but he was overlooked. And right now, I mean, he looks phenomenal. Now, the stats didn't end up in the greatest of places. I mean, if we look at it, he had a 1.145 whip on a 3.42 ERA. 3.2 WAR is pretty solid. 30 games started, but he just kind of looked dominant every time that he was pitching. He was a little bit ground ball dependent. He had a FIP of 3.66, but overall, Chris Bassett is now being looked at as one of the best in the game. Probably going to get a hefty contract at the end of this year. Another just fun one here, the unsung heroes of each league. We'll start off in the AL. I'm going to go Shane McClanahan here. He had a really, really, really good year. 2.54 ERA, 0.926 whip. What? A FIP of 3 even. A 4 WAR. I mean, McClanahan looked really good, and he just became kind of underrated after a little while. He started out as like one of the favorites to win the Cy Young, and he still could be. I don't have him on this list, but he really has been fantastic this year in his second year. Heading to the NL, weird to say he's an unsung hero seeing he's paid $20-some million, but JT Realmuto somehow became one of the most underrated players in baseball in a snap of a finger. I mean, 276, 22 homers, 84 RBIs, 129 OPS plus, 820 OPS. Behind the plate, just absolutely phenomenal. 6.5 WAR. That incredible from JT Realmuto this year. Getting to the big one, starting in the Cy Young, the AL. It has to be Justin Verlander. I mean, you look at the guy's stats, 1.75 ERA, 0.829 whip. That's ridiculous. 185 strikeouts, 175 innings pitched, 5.9 WAR. We'll make it 6. Verlander, phenomenal this year. My dark horse for this is going to be his teammate, Framber Valdez. Framber had a streak of, I believe, 25 starts in a row where he picked up a quality start. A quality start is 6 or more innings and 3 or less earned runs. That should tell you how good that guy is. For the NL, I'm going to go with Sandy Alcantara. There's only one guy I really think kind of competes with him at all here, but Sandy, 14-9 at 2.28. He pitched 228 innings, 32 games started, an 8.1 WAR, 0.980 whip, a FIP of 2.99, 886 batters faced this year. I mean, he just phenomenal from Sandy. My dark horse for this is going to be Julio Rodriguez. So I believe had a shaky start or two toward the end of the year, but Julio throughout the whole entire season was a mainstay for the Dodgers when they really needed it. They were very injured on the pitching side this year. Julio Rodriguez, a couple years in a row, been very solid. Getting to the big one, the MVP award. In the AL, I went back and forth on it for a very long time, but I concluded it's going to go to Aaron Judge. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say the dark horse is Shohei Ohtani because he is just absolutely incredible. Took his pitching to another level this year and remained in that hitting zone that's just ridiculous. However, Aaron Judge just kind of was different this year. I mean, we can just look at the stats. 62 bombs, 131 RBI, a 1.111 OPS for a 211 OPS plus, 10.6 WAR. That is just absolutely incredible. There's no way I couldn't give it to Judge. I am an Ohtani supporter when it comes to the MVP, but man, oh man, is it tough to not give it to Judge here. In the NL, there was a bit of a gap that became here. I think it's going to go to Paul Goldschmidt. 317, 35 homers, 115 RBIs, 7.8 WAR, elite defender, 180 OPS plus, and a 981. 7 bags if you want to throw that one in, a 404 on base. Walk rate was down a little bit this year, to be honest, but when you're hitting 317, I don't really think that matters. My dark horse for this is going to be Nolan Arenado, his teammate who had a really solid year for himself, an OPS in the high 8s, 30-some home runs. Arenado, very fantastic year, but it's going to go to goalie. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy or if you agree or disagree with my picks, I want to know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Have a blessed one.